all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and Redeemer.
Amen.
You see it. So, this reading from the Gospels is fairly familiar. We hear it on Ash Wednesday. It's the exhortation to not do things to be seen. And it's interesting, or maybe it takes on a new meaning in the modern world, where we do things to be seen. Now, I think the question is, why do we do it to be seen? Do we live stream our services so that everyone can see how much we're doing and how brilliant my words are when we reflect? Do we do it for that, or do we do it because we want to provide a resource to people who can't necessarily be here or be at any church and otherwise would be by themselves? They spend their whole lives praying in secret in some cases. Do we bring them into community by providing this as a resource? And so it's a very fine line, and I think one that we need to be very careful to walk in, and one that we've really walked forever, but one that takes on that new dimension today. If you notice, when Jesus is talking about this, he doesn't say, don't pray. He doesn't say, don't fast. He says, so when you give alms, do not sound a trumpet before you, as some of the hypocrites do in the synagogue, so they may be praised by others. Well, what do we do before service? Let's everybody know we're about to start service. We'll ring bells. They can be heard all through town. Hey, show up. People come in off the streets right as the bells are ringing to join service. Are we doing that to get them to come? Yeah, we are. We're letting people know, hey, service has started. But again, do we do that because, well, we want to have a higher number when we fill out the attendance sheets and our annual returns, or do we do it because people need to know when we're doing things here? We don't have a situation where churches are open 24/7 anymore, and the priest lives next door and can just kind of pop in for a quick prayer with the person or service. We need to let them know when things are happening. Because even though we're called to pray in secret, we're also called to pray in community. We don't just do it by ourselves. So can we do both at the same time? Can we hold those two things in tension? I think that's something that we need to, as Christians, divine for ourselves with all of our actions. Do we need to write a big check to the charity and stand there with, the golf-sized check? Maybe we do. Because what does that look like? Hey, these people think it's important. Maybe I'll participate with it too. Maybe I will give to them as well. Instead of saying, hey, look at how good we are. Maybe that big check says, hey, look at how good they are. You should help them. The fasting. I think it's particularly clear here when Jesus talks about fasting. Whenever you fast, do not look dismal like the hypocrites. For they disfigure their faces so as to show others that they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may be seen not by others, but by your Father who is in secret. So how does that apply to the disciplines of Christian life today? So we started with charity, the big check. Well, give the big check. Make a big deal out of it. Say, look how good this organization is that we want to support them. But then at the same time, don't say, well, we're not going to be able to, we're going to have to turn the heat down this winter because we gave that check. It was really took a lot for us to give that. That's where it comes from organizationally. Hey, yeah, we're going to have to buy the cheaper hosts and wine this year, or we're going to start using paper cups instead of, we sold our silver to do that. When you start that's when it becomes problematic, because you're doing that to say, well, look how, we're so good. giving so much of ourselves. So what do we do there with stewardship campaigns? When we say, hey, we're doing so much and it costs us money. Again, it's that balance. If we were saying, hey, community, outside the doors, give us money so that we can keep doing our stuff, that's one thing. If we invite them, it's a different. And if we look to our own members and say, here's the things we want to do, help us do them. That's an entirely different thing. Again, that's invitational. That's inviting them along on the discipline and saying, give your time, give your talents, give your treasure, give your resources. It's the things that we need to do because we feel called to do it. Now, there's a whole other discussion to be had of what we're called to do. And that's what we as individuals and in community need to discern and say, are we doing something because it makes us look good, because it makes us sound good, because it brings us notoriety, or because it's what does good? Do we have our community meals because, boy, it looks really good when we go to the diocesan convention and talk about all the stuff we did? Or do we do it because people are hungry and they need food? And you can get praise for the good things you do, but if you do it for the praise, yeah. And I think it's one of those things, if we look at other aspects of our lives, if we do the things we need to do to succeed, to be healthy, to be successful at work, to be successful at school, it's the results. They're self-fulfilling. Do you practice things so people see you practicing them? Or do you practice them so that when you perform them, they're done well? Usually it's the practice that's done in secret, and it's the performance that's done publicly to engage with community. And that's the line I think we need to be very careful to walk, that we practice in secret and perform in public. To God be all the glory, now and forever.
Amen. Amen.